The Objective News Network? Warning: the citizens of New Jersey are at risk from their own corrupt government. This is Hnatio reporting for the Objective News Network. We'd like to welcome you today to our broadcast. I want to start off today's story with two quotes. The first quote comes from Frederick Bastiat and his famous book, The Law, who said, "The law perverted, and the police powers of the state perverted along with it. The law, I say, not only turned from its proper purpose, but made to follow an entirely contrary purpose. The law became the weapon of every kind of greed. Instead of checking crime, the law itself guilty of the evils it is supposed to punish." In past stories, we have completely laid bare with irrefutable evidence from the Nile database the existence of a large RICO enterprise of judges, judicial employees, lawyers, prosecutors, and law enforcement officials that wantonly commit fraud after fraud on the very machinery of the courts of New Jersey and beyond with complete impunity, not to mete out justice, but rather to serve their own ends. For the skeptics who still cannot accept what we have told you or still believe that things can't really be as bad as they say, we invite you to do exactly what we have done, as we have laid bare the corruption. Read and study the evidence that has been compiled in the National Investigative Library of Evidence by the Institute for Complexity Management. The evidence there is irrefutable. It was John Stuart Mill who once said, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." This, of course, raises the questions of when and who was the corruption reported to, and of course, what did they do about it? The answers to these questions are indicative of the depth of corruption as the misdeeds of the RICO enterprise itself. Virtually everyone in a position of authority was told about the corruption, but failed to do anything about it, even though they knew full well that the justice system was weaponized and taking retaliation against James O'Keefe Jr. for the political sins of his son, James O'Keefe III, of Project Veritas fame. So who was told and provided with the evidence contained in the Nile database? Well, just about anyone you can possibly imagine, from William Barr at the Department of Justice to Governor Murphy of New Jersey, to the courts and the Assembly and to the Senate of the state of New Jersey, all the way up to the Assembly and Senate Judiciary Committees. Then there's Attorney General McFarland and his predecessors, Jeff Sessions, Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, all of whom were made aware of the corruption and evidence in the Nile database and asked to investigate. But they simply ignored ICM's tens and tens of letters, notebooks of evidence, and requests for investigation, and hundreds of telephone calls. Second, there was the governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, his attorney general, Mike Platkin, and former attorney general, Gurbir Grewal. Phil Murphy didn't care either and wouldn't answer ICM's letter or return ICM's repeated telephone calls. Neither would Mike Platkin. And finally, there's Gurbir Grewal, who blocked the investigation of the RICO enterprise of corrupted judges, lawyers, and law enforcement officials that was originally reported to him, and who then blocked any possibility of an investigation. All these officials are politically weaponized Democrats. Then there's this man, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General Paul Fishman. It was Fishman who blocked any investigation of the Demodulation Incorporated matter and the theft of Demodulation's microwire, several 155 millimeter howitzer weapons, and their classified detonators as part of a joint NSA, U.S. Army, and Navy warrantless and thus illegal domestic intelligence collection operation targeting Demodulation Incorporated. Evidence in the Nile database suggests that Fishman was a politically weaponized Democrat. FBI Director Christopher Wray and former directors James Comey and Robert Mueller, along with the FBI former special agents at the FBI Newark Field Office, including Special Agent in Charge Michael Broderick, and many others participated in the cover-up. The Newark FBI office told the victims and eyewitnesses to the activities of the RICO enterprise that they could not report the matter to the courts. FBI agents refused to acknowledge and then accept any additional evidence of RICO predicate crimes offered to them by ICM and other witnesses and victims of the RICO enterprise. It was FBI Washington headquarters that threatened the ICM principal investigator, me, John Hnatio, with arrest, prosecution, and a jail term if I did not stop reporting the RICO enterprise and trying to provide additional evidence of RICO crimes as they were being committed by federal and New Jersey judges, lawyers, and law enforcement officials, including the FBI. Fourth are the members of the New Jersey Senate and Assembly. Here you see a listing of assemblymen and women and senators, each of whom received personal letters from ICM reporting the RICO enterprise, including judicial, lawyer, prosecutor, and law enforcement fraud upon the courts of New Jersey. Not one of these elected representatives of the people of New Jersey, either Republican nor Democrat, would respond to the letters or the hundreds of calls by ICM to their offices asking for an oversight investigation. Fifth, there is this man, Cory Booker. Here you see a copy of the letter sent by ICM to Senator Cory Booker, a Democrat from New Jersey who sits on the United States Senate Judiciary Committee. Instead of conducting congressional oversight, he completely sidestepped ICM letters and phone calls and the evidence provided to him by referring ICM right back to the very same people in the courts responsible for the corruption in the first place, so they could continue to police themselves. Senator Booker knew exactly what he was doing to Mr. O'Keefe, his family, and the other victims of the RICO enterprise, but he simply did not care about his constituent. As the ICM research case study on the Demodulation Incorporated matter demonstrates, not a single official in New Jersey or Washington, D.C. acted, even though they knew full well what was happening to innocent citizens who were witnesses to crimes and the victims of the RICO enterprise. A truly remarkable failure involving all three of the branches of our government, judicial, executive, and legislative, all the way from the local level up to the institutions of the state of New Jersey, all the way up to Washington, D.C. itself. In our next story, we will talk about what the people of New Jersey and the nation can do to send a powerful signal to the politicians in Washington, D.C., whether they are Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or Independent, that as American citizens, we will no longer tolerate the corruption that has overtaken our justice system and your inaction. It is what it is for July 5th, 2023. We want to thank you for taking the time to watch our news channel. Please subscribe and tell your friends about us. Here at ONN, we strive to use only factual evidence as the basis of our news story. The whole idea of investigative reporting is critical to the continued freedom from tyranny so that you know the truth. Thank you, and we will see you the next time.